EB Falcon. Ken James is next in the Commodore, and rounding out the 5, John Faulkner in another Commodore. Should be quite a race. We've got 24 starters right behind them. Grant Monday, Terry Wyhoon, Mark Seaton. A stellar list here this afternoon as the pace cars, the 2 Ford pace cars, go to the pits, and we're ready for the grand final of the Australian Championship for Auscar Racing. Across the line, bumper to bumper, door handle to door handle, it's Brad Jones and the Castrol Commodore and Marshall Brewer, with Gary Rogers slotting very quickly into 3rd place as they round turn number 1, work on turn 2 now on the back straight, and there's nothing between Brad Jones, Marshall Brewer and Gary Rogers, and the EB Ford, who comes up on the inside of Brewer and looks for 2nd spot as they go up now into turn number 3 and presses on with a 2. Nothing between them. Turn 4. Front straight away, Brad Jones, then the Ford and the Commodore side by side down the front straight. Rogers with the line to the next turn on the inside, and Ken James right up there in the yellow Commodore will pick it up into 4th place.
This really is crunch time for these guys. This is the race that matters, the point scoring race. Ken James slid down the inside of Marshall Brewer there for 3rd place. Now Ken James is the guy to watch. He's running 2nd in the championship. Brad Jones is leading. Ken James is the only guy who can challenge Bradley for the crown as they go 3 deep into the corner there. John Faulkner comes out best. Brewer gets pushed back again.
And there's Gary Rogers and the EB Falcon. Can he get it down? Yes, he has. He's gone between cars off turn number 4. They've all managed to miss. The yellow flag will come out, and they'll form the cars up again.
Huge smoking slide from Gary Rogers, but he got it together. Now he's going to have some very nasty flat spotted tyres there. Whether he decides to pit under the yellow, we won't know.
Well, have a look at this on the race cam. We're looking on the Castrol race cam coming out the back of Brad Jones' car. And there you can see what happened. Rogers got around sideways, parked it in front of the mob coming off turn number 4. He's lit up all the bags. Then the car turns back inside itself, comes down the racetrack. No one connects. Brad Jones gets the hell out of there, and with good reason. Brought the yellows on here after only 2 laps for the grand final. 48 still to run with Brad Jones and the Castrol Commodore. Beautifully turned out car, number 8. Green flag's about to come out. Brad, I guess some days are diamonds and some are stones. You were out of that one. That was a helter-skelter behind you.
Well, I couldn't believe it, Mike. I was leading, and next thing Daylight was 2nd. So they've had a bit of a shuffle up behind me. Hopefully it'll take the others a while to get back through.
Alrighty, things look pretty good. We'll let you get back to business.
See you soon.
Brad Jones, the flight deck of the Castrol Commodore, back behind the Ford pace car coming off turn number 4. Ken James sitting in 2nd spot there. Bruce Williams is up to 3rd as the pace car pulls off the racetrack. They've lost just a couple of circuits under the yellow flag, but as Brad Jones picks up the pace, it's Marshall Brewer back on the inside of Ken Jones.
Gary Rogers is heading down to pit lane. The guy in the Falcon, he spun out of 2nd place. Great disappointment for the Ford fans. He's out of contention. Brad Jones leading through. Marshall Brewer up to 2nd place. Ken James in the yellow Arjip Commodore. But Bruce Williams, the guy who's looked very strong here today, very conservative, tucks into 3rd place.
Well, he's in the EV1 Commodore and does that quite comfortably. That move on the inside there of Ken James. That'll show you just how close they swing by the wall here through the tri-oval at Calder Park Thunderdome. As Brad Jones once again hauls them into turn number 1. Like a fighter squadron into this corner. And Jones, the awesome lad from Albury, starts to open it up by about 2.5, 3 car lengths going down the back straight. Williams sitting back in 3rd. Jones is the next one, followed then by Faulkner. Mark Seaton is the next driver, but it's all Brad Jones.
I'm sure Bradley will be able to win this race, as he always does, but if he does get into trouble, he's only got to finish as high as 12th, or better than 12th, if Ken James wins this race to win his 3rd Auscar title. He's looking pretty strong today.
Here's a big mover in the field, and that, of course, is John Faulkner, the white Commodore, sits in the tail there of the Adjib car, driven by Ken Jones.
John Faulkner, the man on a roll. He won the round 3 at Adelaide on the little half mile there. Won again at Surfers Paradise. And look at this, down the inside of Ken James, looking very strong under brakes. Expect a big race from John Faulkner.
It's a good move from Faulkner.
Tremendous run from Bruce Williams as he looks down the inside at a possible overtaking move on Marshall Brewer. More than a possible. He's got a fender alongside. He's got half the car alongside as they come off onto the main straight. A tremendous, inspired charge from Bruce Williams. He's on the inside. He's got the gun position for turn 1.
Side by side.
Door handle to door handle.
And bumper to bumper.
Turn 1.
As they make the exit off turn number 2, Brad Jones, is out to about 3 car lengths, but Bruce Williams could be the one to watch. Runs in second, Marshall J. Brewer is third, John Faulkner, then a big gap opening to Ken James as they go up into the top bend. And there we have that car that is scored down on the inside edge on the grass.
55, Eddie Woods. It's still sitting over there in the grass. No sign of the yellows yet.
We're watching this scrap back for 4th, 5th and 6th. Mark Seaton there in the Ford. Rod Wilson in the blue number 37 Titan machine. Comes down on the inside, trying to effect a pass.
Seaton coming under plenty of pressure from Wilson. Seaton's been in a bit of engine trouble this weekend. He's got the spare motor in now, which is a bit down on horsepower. And with the spin of Gary Rogers, he's the only Ford representative up the front. Here's car 11, Richard Howe on the inside. Car 88, Owen Davies. But meanwhile, this great scrap.
Keeping in mind this grand final of the Auscar National Championship, in order for starting positions today, the drivers had to run a 50-lapper qualifying race, which Brad Jones was able to win. And that secured his pole spot. He was the fastest man in practice yesterday. So it's all going pretty well for him.
And look how much Bruce Williams has closed the gap on Bradley. He's got a real race on his hands here, it would seem. Bruce Williams started in Auscar in an ex-Brad Jones Commodore VL, in fact. He was the Rookie of the Year, and he's made continual advancement through the field as the years have gone by. And he's certainly got a competitive proposition now. Matching Jones for race speed as they come through the traffic. That's going to be a real test for Bruce, because Brad is a known master at getting through the back markers. But just behind Bruce Williams, got John Faulkner there, just coming into view in the better Commodore VN.
This is a hell of a scrap for second.
And he's right on him now.
Yeah, Faulkner sits in the draft here of Williams as they work the back straight. We'll see whether he's got enough to go by him on the outside as they peel off into the top bend. No, he hasn't.
John Faulkner's taken to this Auscar racing like a duck to water. Let's see what Faulkner can do here. He was saying to me in practice yesterday he's never really had a chance to run against these leading guys on the Thunderdome. He doesn't know how they race, how clean they race, or what sort of tactics they use. So it's all a bit of a learning experience for John. He has been lacking miles at the top end on the Thunderdome, and this is a tough place to do it in the final of the Auscar Series for 1992.
Here's Brad Jones, but it's getting terribly tight at the front as Faulkner makes the big move down on the outside. A lap car just balks him momentarily.
Bradley got held up severely there, and Bruce Williams has tapped right onto it. And behind, look at that lovely shot of Bruce Williams. That's what Bradley's seeing out of the rearview mirror as he goes down the inside. And it looked like Faulkner was going the other way. Can Bradley hold them as they swing into the banking? He has. Faulkner taps back into third position. We've got a real fight on our hands.
They come off turn number 4, back through the tri-oval.
Here comes Faulkner down the inside of Williams. Tremendous run off the kink in the main straight, and he's done it. Tremendous run from Faulkner. So he's right on Brad Jones' hammer as they come round out of turn 2. These three cars looking pretty evenly matched. Bradley commented before that he thought it'd be pretty well matched with Marshall Brewer's race speed. Well, these two have just come out of nowhere.
As they head into turn number 4, let's check them out for you on the race score. Brad Jones is your race leader for the National Championship Grand Final. The outside, Jones now to the outside. Now he's got to come back on the inside because Williams has arrived to put the pressure on. And here's Williams back on the inside of Faulkner. This is first, second and third. The Auscar National Championship Grand Final. And Gary Rogers on the outside, who's a lap down in the V8 EB Falcon. Jones threading the needle now as he comes down the front straight at Calder. Castrol Race Cam tells it all into turn number 1.
Gary Rogers moves out of the way for this three-way fight for the front. Bruce Williams has shuffled back. He's got second place now. John Faulkner taps in for the draft as they come down the back straight. And Brad Jones, 6,200 RPM in the little 308 Holden V8, revving it hard, under brakes as he swings into turn 3. This is hard stuff.
Been a fascinating race so far, and some splendid driving on the part of not only Brad Jones, but also Bruce Williams and John Faulkner.
Marshall Brewer still hangs back in 4th position. Ken Jones in 5th, and Mark Seaton in the big XF Falcon holds on to 6th place. But here's the battle. This is the crunch time. Brad Jones.
See, there's no rest whatsoever. Just when they get a clear piece of racetrack, the challenges come thick and fast behind Jones, and there's some more lap traffic to deal with, probably within half a lap.
And as we've already seen, Brad got held up coming into turn 1 earlier on, and that allowed these two guys to jump right on the back of the bumper bar. So Bradley's going to be concentrating very hard as he comes through this slower traffic just up ahead of him. As these two go for a run down the inside, Williams almost alongside. There we are. We take Castrol Race Cam again. Williams more right in in there. More than half a car length. He moves alongside, looking into the cockpit. Bradley hanging onto the outside of the line. They take the lap traffic. And Bruce Williams side by side as they come into turn 3. Goodness me, close stuff in the Auscars.
Well, that's moved Brad back. Now Williams is caught one out. Faulkner gets the break too, so he has gone through to take over seconds. That now puts Jones back a spot. Now Bradley will work to the outside. Watch this. Down into the bottom corner. Now Faulkner has got the sniff of victory here if he can just get past Williams, and Jones will sit in here and wait for them both to maybe get a little loose. How close do you like your motor racing at home, folks?
And look at the tyre marks down the side of the better Commodore there. John Faulkner's been rubbing tyres with them as well. You can't get closer than this in sedan competition.
No, this is great stuff. Turn number 4, what the sport is all about. They might take these cars and the NASCARs onto some of the road courses and rinky-dinky support races. They shouldn't do that. This is what they were built for, and what fascinating racing they can produce. Bruce Williams, John Faulkner, and Brad Jones. The Yella Terra 200, which is the grand final of the Goodyear Auscar Championship here today at Calder Park Thunderdome. And what a race we have going. Now Jones, you'll probably find, will sit off the pace just a little. Let these two guys see what they've got, whether they can debate the lead. Jones will still win the championship even if he finishes back in 3rd, but Williams wants the win.
Whoa!
Williams he's got him sideways.
Oh, what a tremendous save. That was about to lose at about 220 kilometres an hour. Got sideways, brought it under control. That could have been a catastrophe, and Williams has brought it in. That was a good bit of driving.
Now watch Faulkner here, back along the inside. The challenge for the lead is on again. Williams doesn't want to give way. No, he doesn't. He's driving defensively now, down below the white line. Try to make Faulkner go around him if he can.
That would have put a chill down his spine, Mike. And Marshall Brewer moves up onto this pack. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 running in a high-speed aerodynamic train down the front straight. Now Brewer's going to get into his slice of action, and Bradley Jones, boy oh boy, it's been a long time since he's had to fight this hard for a race.
Well, Bradley might be just a little cautious, just allowing the tyres to go the distance, because these other guys have been a bit loose and getting the tail out. Let's see as they go up once again to turn number 3, and we find Marshall J. Brewer just pegging away at the inside of Jones in the Castrol Commodore. Bradley sits in here nicely as they come down the front straight. Williams actually opening that up a little bit over Faulkner at the moment. And I think that Marshall J. Brewer, who sits behind Brad Jones, wants a little of the action for 3rd place. They come up on some lap cars on the back straight. And here comes Brewer in the 69 fast track Commodore down on the inside. Our Castrol race cam will show it all.
It's one of his favourite places to pass. Turn 3, hard under brakes. He's done it there. Brad Jones slips through. So Jones in about 3 or 4 laps has slipped from 1st to 4th. Marshall gives plenty of berth to the overtaking traffic. Jones follows him through. So it's Williams, John Faulkner, Marshall J. Brewer and Brad Jones.
17 laps remain in the grand final today of the Auscar National Championship, and it's Bruce Williams, the leader, from John Faulkner, Marshall Brewer and Brad Jones at Calder Thunderdome. Great race, lots of passing and repassing on the high banks here, and all before a huge crowd. Beautiful autumn afternoon here at Melbourne. There is 3rd and 4th. Brewer, the 69 fast track Commodore, and Jones sitting behind him. Now Williams actually has gotten away from the rest of them. Faulkner still in the 2nd spot. And it remains to be seen whether Faulkner can be hauled in by both Brewer and Jones, and they've got a big break over the rest of the field.
This is a nice break for Bruce Williams and the Bendix Commodore. He's had a wretched season. He had head gasket failure in the opening round. As we take the race cam again, Brad Jones takes 3rd position back from Marshall Brewer as they come up to more slower traffic. That's the SVO Mick Webb Falcon with Todd Wanless at the wheel. As Jones dives down the inside, Marshall will follow him through. And there is our man at the front, the EV1 Bendix Commodore, Bruce Williams at the wheel.
Nice looking car. He's driven this race very well indeed today. Car sounds great, plenty of horsepower, and he still holds that break over John Faulkner. It's probably out to about 2.5 seconds. Doesn't seem a lot, but trying to peg back 2.5 seconds here if you've got a free racetrack in front of you is somewhat difficult.
Bruce Williams started racing in HQs, and he's made a tremendous step up to the Auscar ranks. Here's John Faulkner as Brad Jones starts to reel him in.
He really does know how to time these races, young Bradley. Now, here's our Castrol bumper cam as he works away. This is down the front straight. Little kink to the right coming up now through the tri-oval.
This is one of the best shots you'll see of Calder Park Thunderdome. Just how hard the suspension and tyres work on these cars. Look at the bumps. Up and down over the humps, hard on the brakes. Listen to the engine. Just feeding in all that 350. Oh, there's a lot of smoke up ahead of them.
I think one's gone via the infield. One has blown an engine. Number 4.
That's Harrington's younger brother back inside Brad Jones' Commodore. What can Bradley do? Very evenly matched with the Faulkner VN. He's been looking and poking and diving and moving around, just having a look at places where he can possibly get by John, but John will put up a fight. Bradley moves alongside.
I was going to say he's gone in deep here. Just look at the difference on the banking. Faulkner moves to the outside. Oh, there's a touch.
There was a car. Jeez, that was close. I thought the other car was about to lose it as well.
No, didn't worry Faulkner. It may have unsettled him. And here's Jones stalking after him with about 5 laps to go. They come off turn number 4. And they're starting to close on the race leader, who just goes beneath our camera point. Here's second, the 46 car of John Faulkner. And once again, Brad Jones, Mr. Ever-Present, works in behind the tail of Faulkner, dives under that lap car. Bradley is, oh, they got one sideways. This will bring on the yellow flags and tighten it all up. He comes down the racetrack. It's Rodney Jane, the son of the race circuit owner, Bob Jane.
Yellow flags are out.
Oh,
this is going to be one hell of a sprint to the flag.
And the computer locks out now on 45 laps completed. And under racing regs here at Calder Park Thunderdome, they usually have 5 clear to the checkered flag. So we've set it up for what should be quite a sprint to the checkered flag here this afternoon. As the field circles around at Calder Park Thunderdome, coming down to what should be a magical finish. There'll be 3 clear laps of racing to go. Bruce Williams to lead away, John Faulkner, Brad Jones. That's the order. Coming off turn number 4 now. 3 laps, the sprint to the checkered flag. Spectators think this is just marvellous stuff. John Faulkner gets going smartly and moves right up now behind Bruce Williams. Brad Jones, if anything, has missed the kick completely. And Gary Rogers, who is a lap down, takes over command at the head of the field. This won't be appreciated by Williams. Jones now tries to get back on the inside of Faulkner as they come down the back straight. And Williams having difficulty as he moves now to the inside of Gary Rogers. What a race we have going here as they come off turn number 4. Down across the line this time with 2 laps remaining.
Gary's going to have a real go here. He's got a little bit of time left in the race to make a point. But Bruce Williams down the inside. John Faulkner follows him down the inside line. And Bradley Jones, by dint of that yellow flag, has been able to move right up on the back. Oh, and he gives him a touch and he's gone right around John Faulkner. Brad gives him a clap into the bargain. There's cars everywhere. Well, Marshall Brewer's off too.
Faulkner straightened himself up as they come down the back straight. That has given Bruce Williams, he's gone out to lead this one comfortably. Faulkner trying to pick the pace up just a little bit.
There's no yellow flag, so this is it. This is the last lap of the race.
White flag out. Bruce Williams is going to win the charge today. Gary Rogers down a lap. Brad Jones is back in second spot, and Mark Seaton making a run after him. The others are well and truly out of it as they go into the bottom turn. No one is going to catch the race leader, Bruce Williams. Here he is working the back straight now. Car number 9, superb drive here today. Brad Jones looks like he's going to finish in second spot or third as Mark Seaton makes a lunge on him coming up into the top corner. And there he is on the outside as the checkered flag prepares to come out for today's Auscar final. It goes to Bruce Williams, and across the line for second spot will probably be Mark Seaton in the Ford just over the top of Brad Jones. But Jones will have enough points to become national champion in the Auscar class for season 91-92. Well done, Brad Jones, but goodness gracious me, what a coming together. Let's have a look at the replay outside. There's John Faulkner going around, and Marshall J. Brewer comes inside and tries to wipe off all that speed down on the grass, and that took him out.
Now let's see
what view happens from race cam here. Actually, he was just a touch sideways. That's where the contact is made here. Around goes Faulkner. Jones into the side of him. Jones branches off, goes via the infield, gets back out into the racetrack, and at least finishes the contest. So, confirmation of the finish. Bruce Williams